Sure about that. All right, cool. So no sound. Shit. There we go. Sorry about the no sound, y'all. Sorry about that. Sorry about the no sound, y'all. The sound is should now be on. The sound should now be on. Apologies for the no sound. It's a quirk of YouTube. I'm not YouTube of TikTok. I don't know why. All right, y'all. So here's the rules of my live. Okay, if you say something that seems like you disagree with me, or insulting, or just want to talk to me for some reason, or ask me a question, I'm just gonna go ahead and invite you up. The sound is on now. Okay, great. Those over on the YouTube, they couldn't hear. The YouTube couldn't hear me, but I got the sound on now. All right. So rules of my live is I don't like talking to comments. I just want to I like to, speak. I don't like doing the whole back and forth thing because it gets annoying. By the time I answer the question, you're probably going to ask another question, and we might as well just talk to each other. Oh, you out where you can't talk? All right, cool. When you say, can I name a country better than America? I only live here, so there's no way I can do that. I don't think that's a fair question. But the topic tonight is not really about America. All right, so let's see who we have on the board here. How's it going, Marcus? How you doing, Marcus?
I'm all right on stuff, man. Greetings.
I'm all right. All right, Marcus. Are you at least 18? And what did you want to talk about?
I'm a Christian. I'm over 18 years.
All right, cool. So you want to talk about number one or number two?
Number two.
Cool. Let's talk about number two. All right, cool. Why do you think I should believe in a God?
Excuse me. By the way, what flag is that on your bio, if I may ask?
What is what?
What is that flag on your bio?
Oh, that's the Haitian flag.
Which one is that?
The Haitian flag. My parents are from Haiti.
Oh, Haiti. Oh, yes, I see. Oh, yeah. Oh, great stuff. I was just curious.
All right, cool. So why do you think I should believe in a God?
Look, for me, believing in God is something that just was ingrained in me. It's just part of my heritage, part of my existence for as long as I can remember. I can't imagine anyone who, for whatever reason, decided that they don't believe in God, or those who have since have had a crisis of faith. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit difficult to say why should anyone believe in God, because for me it's just something that is part of my consciousness.
Let me ask you a question. You said that it's been ingrained in you, part of your culture. Where are you from?
I'm South African.
South African. All right. So you realize, are you a Zulu, Khoisan, or?
I'm Tswana.
Tswana. Okay. So you realize before the Boers came over, like South Africans were doing something completely different. So Christianity is not even part of your culture or mine. Like Haiti, for example, we all came from Western Africa, right? So Benin, Ghana, Togo, Nigeria, they were all doing something different before we met white people. Same thing with people from South Africa. All y'all were doing something different before white people came over. So how is that now a part of the culture if it's something that was imported?
My understanding is that culture has always been dynamic, and generations are not the same. I can't be expected to have the same worldview as my forebears were living all those centuries ago. When I say it's my
that's fair.
I'm talking about my own existential, my own lived experience.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's fair. Yeah, culture is dynamic. To be fair, that is true. Culture is dynamic and it changes around a lot. However, you understand that this is something that came from outside of the continent. Like it has nothing to do with us. This is the deification of someone else's culture. Like Christianity came from the Levant and it came to Africa through at least Western and Southern Africa and a little bit of Eastern Africa through the Atlantic slave trade. You know what I mean? So, well, through Atlantic slave trade and through colonialism, like this was used to denigrate like our people. And in South Africa specifically, it was used to justify apartheid. So why are we still holding on to something that had nothing to do with us in the first place?
Okay, you are raising several points. First of all, the idea that one particular culture is not supposed to have an influence on another particular culture elsewhere is not something that coheres with reality. You can look at various spheres of our lives where we have adopted other ideas and belief systems and other technologies and developments that came from elsewhere, which were embraced by others. Even when you look at the fields of mathematics or science, it was organically and gradually developed over time, and other cultures elsewhere picked up on what others had already discovered prior.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that even in the case of Christianity, the idea that those who then made this truth claim to say there is a God who has revealed himself through a man called Abraham, and through whose descendants he would then be a light to the nations to reveal who this God is, through whom through whose
Right. So Marcus,
progeny.
my question, well, I have two things to say. Number one, math is a bad word to use because everybody had math, right? We just had different versions of using it, but everybody had math. As a matter of fact, it was Africans who came up with math anyway, or at least arithmetic, which is the basis for all of math. We're the ones who came up with it. So it's like, that's not really a cultural thing. It's something that we create. But when I was the second thing that I would say is that the second that you're saying, this person and his progeny, everything like that, you're basically saying exactly my point was before, is deification of another person's culture. Why are we deifying someone else? That would be my question. Not only that, are we deifying another person's forefathers? Why? How do we even know what they're saying is actually true? Like this is a belief in a culture that came from somewhere outside the continent, had nothing to do with us. They told us that we had to deify it. We have to forget our entire spiritual heritage to deify another culture, and we don't even know if that's true. So why are we doing that? That's my question.
Okay, no, it's fine. I'll respond to that. However, I was just making a general point to say that the reality is, regardless of whatever skin color you come from, we are all of us part of the human family, as it were. So I don't see those distinctions in those sharp contrasts as you explain them. I'm simply saying
I agree
one
that
particular culture to have an influence on another culture is not intrinsically wrong, like you are suggesting.
It's not intrinsically wrong. I know, I get that. It's not intrinsically wrong for one culture to influence another. That's not intrinsically wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the deification of another culture is something that I'm uncomfortable with. Why are we deifying somebody else? Like this entire belief system had zero to do with us. We already had morals. We already had character. We already had systems of interacting with each other before Christianity. Christianity came in as a deification of another culture that had nothing to do with us for thousands of years, and we forgot everything that we have. Or not totally forgot. I'm pretty sure that there's still South African traditions and things that you uphold to, but the entire spiritual heritage of it was demonized to uplift someone else. And my question is why? Like I'm pretty sure that this is not everywhere in South Africa, but I've seen videos in South Africa where they basically deify a white man who has the image of Jesus, and that's not even what Jesus looked like. You know what I mean? It causes a really big problem in my opinion of deification of the same people who colonized and enslaved and oppressed us. Why are we doing that? You know what I'm saying? That's my question. Unless you're going to say that unless you're gonna be like in your church, Jesus is black. That's fine. I mean, I guess so, but still, this is an entire tradition that had nothing to do with us.
The thing is, so what's your name, Volsi? The thing is, Volsi, look, I think all of us as individuals, not just as subscribing to a particular worldview that subscribe to the idea of how life should have panned out.
Shout out to TBV raid. Keep
What's
going.
that? Yes, I'm simply saying that all of us, I'm sure we have our own idea as to how the history of the world should have unfolded. So
Wait. I'm sorry. I didn't get that part. Say that again.
I'm saying all of us have an idea of how history or how life should have unfolded. We have our own idealized version of how things should be, and the fact that the way things have panned out did not conform to our expectations or what we had envisioned does not therefore necessarily suggest that my particular standpoint or my particular perspective should now be the be all and end all of what truth is. I'm saying the fact that there is a God who, for whatever reason, decided that I'm going to choose a man, Abraham, this man's progeny, his descendants are the one through whom the Messiah would be born, through whom the world would be justified. I'm simply saying it would have been God's prerogative to decide how to run the world, to
Right,
run
but
the history
Marcus,
as it has unfolded.
Marcus,
So the fact,
I don't think you're. Hold on, Marcus. I don't think you're.
There's a problem with that.
Right. Hold on, Marcus. I don't think you're understanding my point. My point is not about history not turning out the way that we wanted. I would rather history turned out that Europe never colonized Africa. We would have been a lot better off if that never happened. Right. I think you and I can agree to that. If Europe never came to Africa, we would have been a lot better off. But my question isn't about how I wanted history to turn out. It turned out the way that it did. My question is to put in your mind is, why exactly should we, or why are you deifying someone else's culture? Because again, you're saying that through the progeny of some people in some far off land, that's when the savior of the world is going to come by. But then, and the question is, why do you believe that? Because number one, there's no evidence that that's true. And number two, this is the deification of another person's forefather. Why can't we deify our own forefathers? Why are we deifying someone else's forefathers? Especially the one who took that story and made themselves the God. Like every single image of Jesus throughout Africa is a white man. They made themselves God over us. Why are we doing that? Why are we worshiping that?
No, I'm simply saying that for the mere fact that there are others who wouldn't become Christians on that particular basis, I can understand and I respect that it is their prerogative to look at this current situation and say, I cannot be subjected, nor can I agree to this. However, two people can look at the same thing and come to two different conclusions. I, as a Black South African, I look at the reality that I'm confronted with, and I don't have a problem with understanding that a sovereign God wanted things to be this way. If he decided that the Messiah would have this ethnic heritage, then who am I to then to dispute or have a grievance with that? It's just
Marcus, let's go back to the question I was saying before. Why do you think that's true though? Like there's no evidence that that's true.
No, look, for me, when it comes to evidence, what I've since realized is for instance, I look at the Bible, I study the Bible. I see that up to 30% of the Bible comprises of prophetic texts. And I can see through reasonable thinking even, and through empiricism, I can see how a huge chunk of these prophecies that were foretold before the fact have since been fulfilled.
Like what?
Therefore, therefore suggesting
Right, like what?
divine
Okay.
inspiration
Marcus,
behind
Marcus,
much
Marcus,
of the Bible.
Marcus. I already asked you a question. Like what?
Like even in the person of Christ, the fact that there are over 300 prophecies relating specifically to Christ, where he would be born.
Okay,
Even the
what
method
are
of
what are one
even
of
the
them?
method of execution that he
What are
would
what's one of
undergo
them?
before
What's one of
he
them?
was.
Okay, tell me what it is. That this is the thing. When you know that people have actually looked at this, right? And they found out that there's actually a person named Deconstruction Zone on this app right now. He talks about this all the time, where he shows that Jesus actually didn't fulfill those prophecies. Not only that, like these prophecies can be extremely vague. Like, for example, I live in the southern United States, right? I live in a state called Florida. We get hurricanes all the time. If I were to say in 150 years, Florida is going to get hit by a devastating hurricane, and in 150 years that actually happens, am I a prophet, or did I just say something that always happened? Like a lot of these prophets that are attributed to Jesus are extremely vague. Like even I fulfill some of them. Like one of them, he said that he's going to ride into a donkey in the city of Nazareth or some shit like that. I rode a donkey too. You know what I mean? Like I fulfilled that prophecy by accident. It's one of those things you have to ask yourself: are these prophecies actually being fulfilled specifically, or are they just vague references that people can stretch? Like, have you looked into any of that?
That's one thing that I've since appreciated ever since I joined this live, so that there is no amount of evidence that can be provided to a cynic, because if you say they are vague, I don't see any ambiguity in these prophecies.
Okay, so name me a prophecy that's not ambiguous. I appreciate you. Name me a prophecy that's not ambiguous.
For instance, Isaiah speaks of Cyrus and naming and actually naming him by name 250 years before he was born.
No, it doesn't.
As the
No, it doesn't.
Persian,
it actually names Cyrus the Great 350 years before he was born. It actually says Cyrus the Great.
Cyrus, King Cyrus, yes, Cyrus.
Where does it say that?
In Isaiah.
Isaiah where?
I think Isaiah 45, if I'm not mistaken.
Isaiah 45? Isaiah 45.
Maybe.
Isaiah 45, which verse?
Just go to Google and say Isaiah 45 Cyrus. Maybe it will give you the reference. I don't have the.
All right, I'll look into and see. Oh yeah, it does name Cyrus. Yeah, you're right about that. It names Cyrus, but you think this was written before King Cyrus?
It was written before King Cyrus, 250 years. That's when Isaiah lived before the Persian Empire of Cyrus. Anyway, the point I wanted to make was, in instances where you have these explicit prophecies, like for instance, in the case of the Daniel prophecies,
Isaiah 45 was written after King Cyrus, bro. Those were written after King Cyrus. Those were written before King Cyrus. Those were written after King Cyrus.
That's what skeptics normally do.
No, it's not what skeptics normally do. This is biblical scholarship. It was written after King Cyrus.
Isaiah could not have been written before King Cyrus. There is no orthodox scholarship that agrees with what you are saying, except
talking about Isaiah 45, because Isaiah was written in different times, right?
Except a reference that comes from a skeptic, which is very common, because what people normally do is when they have that explicit prophecy, they would then question the authorship and the date of that particular scripture, and then they would say this actually was written after the fact, not before the fact.
But Marcus, this is coming from historians, bro. People who actually study history, people who actually study the Bible, and they're saying from a historical view, this was written after King Cyrus. At least Isaiah 45, because they were still in the Babylonian exile, right? That was during King Cyrus. This was written after King Cyrus, not before, bro. King Cyrus was already rising into power when that was written, so they knew who Cyrus was. It's not a direct prophecy. This is what I'm saying. Like, you're actually not looking into it, and you're just saying, "Oh, you're just hand waving it away." Oh, it's just the skeptics. But when historians look into this, right? When they look at the writing, when they look at the language, when they look at references and artifacts and everything like that, and they see this was written around the time of this king, King Cyrus, it's not surprising that they would know about him. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm asking, did you actually, wait, are you saying that the historians, the people who spend dozens of years studying this stuff, you're saying that they're simply lying and that this was not written during the time of King Cyrus, even though the language matches the time of King Cyrus?
I'm simply saying this is very typical when theologians.
Hold on, stop. You're not really addressing my question here. The historians, hold on, listen. The historians who looked at Isaiah 45 or 40 to 45, they look at the language around it, and they say that this language existed around the time that King Cyrus was in power. So these are contemporary languages to this king. Are you saying that they're just lying about that?
I am saying the authority that you refer to comes from the skeptics, and is it supposed to be the final?
It's not skeptics. This is historians, bro.
Marcus, there is no interpretation. He just read
you
a verse.
You are a skeptic. You are referencing the skeptic, and the skeptics are supposed to have the final word. And I'm saying I disagree with the skepticism, which is. I
know you disagree with the skepticism. That's not my question, though. I'm talking about historians, people who actually studied history. Hold on, Marcus. I'm talking about people who actually study history. Are you saying that historians are simply lying about this?
There are lots of scholars who are skeptics. The fact that they have those credentials does not give them.
Are you understanding my question here? Are you understanding my question?
Exclusivity on truth.
Marcus, are you understanding my question?
I'm understanding your question.
I'm not saying that it's about. I'm asking about credentials. I'm asking you, do you think they're simply lying?
As for whether they what's the word that I'm looking for? As for whether they are intentionally lying and deceiving, that's not for me to make a judgment on.
Okay, great.
All
right, great. So great. Okay, great. We agree there. They're not simply lying. All right. So what do you think is going on here? If the language that existed around the time of King Isaiah, if the language when Isaiah was written, if that language existed at the same exact time that King Cyrus existed, doesn't that mean that Isaiah 40 to 55 was written around the time of King Cyrus as well? Because the languages match up. So that means that it had to be written around the same time.
No, I'm simply saying if you're making a claim which is antithetical to another claim that opposes it, so does that mean that because you are opposing the biblical authority as far as the biblical prophecies that authenticate divine inspiration, so you are supposed to have the final word as being the
Marcus,
truth?
It's not about me having the final word, bro. It's not about me having the final word. If Isaiah 40 to 55 was written in a time that had language that didn't match King Cyrus, that would be something. But the languages match each other. And not only that, the artifacts match each other. All of that match each other. So the question then becomes, was this written around the same time? And this is where biblical scholars lean towards. Even the Christian biblical scholars lean towards this was written after King Cyrus or during King Cyrus.
I'm saying I do not agree with the claim.
Even the Christian ones who say that this is during the time of King Cyrus, even the Christians ones who say that, these are Christian biblical scholars.
There are lots of theologians in Bible seminaries who dispute a lot of biblical truth claims. The fact that they are theologians and they are academics, I'm not inclined to agree with them.
All right. My question then becomes, why should we take the Bible as authoritative? What evidence do we have of that? You're simply saying that this was a prophecy because the Bible says so.
No.
Matter of fact, the Bible doesn't even say that. This isn't the Isaiah 45 is not written as a prophecy. They're just saying what's going on during the time of King Cyrus. It's not a prophecy. You're simply saying it's a prophecy.
It's a prophecy. Do you mind reading it from the beginning?
Just one question.
Do you mind reading it from the beginning? Because I don't have my Bible with me.
Just one question for Marcus. Marcus, what do you think about diocese, about the constellation of Nicosia? where is the town city in today's Turkey where the Bible was put together. What do you think about it?
What about Nicaea?
The
Council of Nicaea.
Council of Nicaea.
Volsi, can I just ask something real quick?
Yeah, real quick. What's up?
So you say that leftist policies are better, and I respect that opinion, but what's your statement then on the pro-choice, pro-life debate? Because
I'm pro-choice. I'll get you in a second. I just
want to say one thing. At this point in time, 86% of Down syndrome children are being aborted. Would you consider that better for society? 86% of children with Down syndrome being aborted. Is that a good thing for society, would you say?
I don't know. I'll tell you the truth, but I'm gonna get to you.
Why do you not know?
I'm gonna get to you. So yeah.
Can I
Marcus,
finish this and drop down and give others a chance? Then can I just finish with this guy and you and yourself?
Thank you.
Obviously, I'm not here to convince a
yeah, sure, okay. All right. So Marco, I think that's your name. Marco, are you over 18 and did you disagree with what I had on the board, or you agreed? Marco? All righty. Edmund. Okay, gotcha.
Sorry. I had a problem with my headphones.
All right, no problem. All good. Edmund, how's it going, Edmund? Are you at least 18, and what did you want to talk about?
For clarity's sake.
I can't hear a word you're saying, bro.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
All right, no worries. So with number one, right, you said leftist policies are better for society.
Sure.
And what do you mean by that?
I mean, policies that invest into people socially and economically. I'm talking about things like universal health care, walkable cities, investment into our infrastructure and public transportation, maternal and paternal leave, guaranteed housing, universal education, things like that. Things other countries have that I think we should have. Can't hear a word you're saying, bro.
What is better for society? Like, what do you define better for society? Is what my question is.
I could barely hear you, but I heard that question. Better for society, I think things that uplift human well-being and uplift our health and uplift our mental and financial health. I would say are better things that uplift our psychological, our physical, our mental health. I think are better for society, which I think those things do. Like, for example, parental leave, right? It's very stressful when you have a child, you got to go back to work in like 2 or 3 weeks. So like if you have more time to spend with your children, bond with them, everything like that, I think that'll be it's healthier for the parents and it's healthier for the baby as well if they're spending a lot of time with and bonding with their parents. So giving them that 6 months off in order to create that bond is a healthy thing, and it's healthy for our mental health. I think walkable cities are better for us because obviously walking is good for you. More public transportation will put less cars on the road. If we have less cars on the road, I don't know if you've ever heard something like this. It's called the urban heat map, but the urban heat map shows that when you have cities that have a lot of cars, the city is actually a lot hotter than everywhere else, and that causes a lot of issues because traffic causes stress, which weighs on your mental health. Traffic is also unhealthy for you because you're sitting in there and you're inhaling a lot of smoke. So that's that's bad for your health as well. Cars are big polluters. So that's bad for the environment, which in turn is bad for your health. You see what I'm saying? So more public transportation and walkable cities are better for human well-being. And it's the left that's pushing that in our society more than the right, at least in American society. Over in other countries, this is normal. It's not a left or right thing, but here in America, that's what it is.
And so again, I think that I understand
can I just
position, right? That you believe that those policies are far more beneficial, right? And they have those benefits associated with them. My question is how would we compare the two things, right? So how do we define what a better society is, right? So that way we can compare apples to apples. Would we compare like GDP? Would we compare like what makes
you sound like you're underwater, friend?
Back up, see if that helps.
Cool. All right. Marco, what did you want to say?
Can I maybe
come on, let me talk, brother.
Ask and
I got you. Give me a second.
Don't duck the debate, bro. Don't duck the
So
smile.
I'm from Switzerland. I live currently in Switzerland. I'm from Croatia, born and raised, but somehow I understand you and I contradict you because I'm for the both of the systems. You know, I live in Switzerland. I work in Switzerland. Hell, most of the stuff are deducted from my gross check. Healthcare system is very good in Switzerland. I pay it around 350 to 370 a month. I have also family in United States, in New Jersey, and when we compare the systems, you know, I find a lot of stuff in the United States good, but there is, so to say, a lot of missing.
Okay.
For example, when I have a sick leave, it's paid in Switzerland. I also worked in Germany for 10 years. When you have a sick leave, it's paid. When there is guaranteed
can we speed this up a little bit?
30 work days for vacation.
Yeah, Marco, we kind of have to
Sorry, I just wanted to ask.
Come on, bro. Like seriously,
Sorry. I'm not a native. What would you like to implement from Europe in your system? Because
definitely the healthcare and the public transportation. Those two things will be, in my opinion, way better for America. Yeah, I mean, than what we have now. So I think those two things. But Marco, I'm gonna get to you in a second, right? Because I think we're gonna agree on most things. Let me get to, I think, named Rob. All right, Rob,
yes,
how's it going, Rob? Marco, stay
very
on mute
good,
for me
bro.
for just
Very
a
good.
second.
How are you?
I'm all right. All right. So you were asking me about Down syndrome, right?
No, I just want to. I want to lay my argument out to you, point blank. Okay.
Sure.
So you say leftist policies are better for society.
And yeah, you heard the ones that I'm talking about, right?
Leftist policies started the decapitation of 90% of the Down syndrome pregnancies worldwide, around 95% in Iceland, 90% in America, 95% in the UK. Down syndrome, what's it called? I mean, leftist policies have completely destroyed the black race. We now see 66% of black children growing up with a single mother due to the nuclear family being destroyed by feminism and liberal ideologies. So now 66% of black children are growing up without parents. We also see homosexuals are much more likely to molest kids, along with transgenders. They have higher rates of molesting children, sexual assaults on children. Yet this is preached and shown in our school systems as it's a good thing for society. We want kids to be gay. We want kids to be transgender, even though it's proven to have effects on their sexual assault rates on children, women, and everybody in general. So what liberal policies would you say are shaping society in a more constructive manner? Because all I see is all more crimes, more. All
right, all those is for all that is well, you're mixing things that are factual and hyperbole, right?
All of
so when hold on, let me Rob. So when it comes to the Down syndrome abortions, right, that is actually is true, which is why I said I'm not sure if that's good or not.
It's 100% true.
Hey, Rob, I'll let you talk, bro.
Okay, bro. Okay.
So the Down syndrome thing, you said, can you be quiet?
Yes, bro.
So when it comes to the Down syndrome thing, right, that part is true, and that's which is why I said me myself, I'm not comfortable with people doing that. Right now, I do think it's still their, it should be their choice, but I'm not comfortable because it kind of leads to eugenics. You see what I'm saying? So that part is true, and that is something that's we can criticize about that policy, and we should tell people to think more about it before you abort a child simply because they have Down syndrome. I could agree with that there.
Absolutely.
When it comes to the nuclear family, when it comes to black folks, as a matter of fact, we've never actually communally, when it comes to not just contemporarily, but all the way back to Africa, we've always done extended families. We've never done mother, children. We're never done mother, father, children, and that's it. We've always done extended families, right? So that's always been the case. When it comes to the single motherhood thing, what that doesn't usually account for is that a lot of these parents cohabitate. And what it also doesn't account for is that a lot of these fathers, even though they don't live in a home, they're still involved with the kids' lives. So it's not just the father is gone and that's it. They're still always they're still involved and they're still cohabitating. But
it's not true at all.
CDC already proved this. But when it comes also yes it did. So but when it you were talking about homosexuals, right? You said that they have a high rate of molesting and abusing children. I've never seen that anywhere. So I'm gonna have to see that. I'm gonna have to see that.
Statistic
Where do we get that
by the FBI in 2011.
FBI in 2011 said that.
If you're
I'm going to look it up now. You said
2011 and 2001.
Hold on, bro. I need you to relax.
I'm giving you the study.
I understand.
Can I give you?
I need you to slow down. Hold on, Marco. Rob, I'm gonna need you to slow down. Yeah, Marco, hold on. Just give me a second. I got you, Marco. Give me a second.
All right, so bro, I'm just giving you the study.
So I just need you. I got you. I need you to relax a second.
Yes, bro. I'm relaxed, bro. I'm relaxed.
Right. No, you're not. So you said the FBI in 2011
and 2001.
Okay, so these are both close to 30 years ago, but FBI in 2011 said that gay people are more likely to molest children.
So the article is by the Baptist Press, and it says homosexuals are more likely to molest kids. Study reports shown by the FBI. You can search that up on Google, and it will show up.
Okay.
And in specific, they're more likely to sexually abuse young boys. Fact. So.
All right. So when I put homosexuals more likely to molest kids, the first thing I found are children at risk for sexual abuse by homosexuals. And this was a study from 1994.
Mm-hmm.
Abuse was ruled out in 35 cases. 74 children were allegedly abused by children and teenagers less than 18 years old. In 9 cases, an offender could not be identified. In the remaining 269 offenders, 2 offenders were identified as being gay or lesbian. In 82% of cases, the alleged offender was a heterosexual partner or a close relative of the child. So it looks like these are just people who are pedophiles. But pedophiles and homosexuality are not the same thing.
No,
the
that's
next
not
link
my
I
argument.
found.
I agree with you. I agree with you. They're not the same thing. I agree.
Just one.
Homosexuals are likely to molest.
One quick sentence.
Sure.
One quick sentence. I just want to give you a compliment, both of you. Most of Europeans, there's a big stereotype that Americans are not capable to debate or to talk with each other, even if they have different opinions. And I can say now, I see you both are examples.
Thank you, bro.
You respect each other's opinions and you talk to each other in a respectful manner.
Yeah, and Volsi, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I'm very passionate about politics. It's not like anything against you. I completely respect your opinions. You have the right to speak freely. I have certain political views that I'm very firm on, and I think my facts show how constructive my arguments are and how legitimate my arguments are, because even if you negate some things, and I'm not comparing gay people to pedophiles or gay people as all of them having pedophilic intentions. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is there is proven higher rates within sexual assaults on children within the gay group.
Okay, I'm actually reading this article, and it actually says what I'm saying. The people who were abused them were PDFs. They're just saying that they're homosexual, but they're PDFs.
But they're homosexual pedophiles, exactly.
No, but what I'm saying, you agree with me that a PDF file and homosexual are 2 different things.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Yes.
So if a grown man abuses a little boy, that doesn't make him homosexual, but that's what the Baptist Press is saying.
Right.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. The Baptist Press is saying that if even though they're a grown man and they molest a little boy, that makes him a homosexual, but it doesn't. It's just a PDF file.
But you still understand the premise of my argument, because he's molesting a little boy, right? That's homosexuality.
No, it's pedophilia. It's not homosexuality.
Obviously, but it's both.
It's not.
You
already admitted that these are 2 different things.
No.
Attraction to the same sex is homosexuality. Attraction to children.
I understand what you're saying. I definitely understand what you're saying, but I don't understand how you can't argue that that's not homosexuality as well when the acts are being performed on the same sex.
Because
that fits the definition of homosexuality.
Because the age.
That's not in the definition of homosexuality.
I noticed that that's not the age of homosexuality, but it's in the definition of pedophilia. The
But
age makes them pedophiles.
I understand, and that's why I understand. I'm not
Because
saying
hold on, but you understand
exactly.
Let me
I
ask you a
do.
question.
Yes,
But you understand that, like, for like a grown man who molests a little boy, he can still have sex with women.
right.
Right. So it's like he's just a PDF file. You know what I'm saying? So the attraction to the children is what counts there. It's not just him abusing the same sex. Yeah, that's not what that's because right now you're kind of slipping in that being a homosexual is also being a PDF file.
I'm not at all. No, not at all. Not at all.
Right.
No.
So, but that's what I'm saying is not. But that's what this article is trying to do, and they're not the same thing.
No, if you pull up my specific argument, I'm not saying homosexuals are inherently pedophiles, inherently bad people. I think quite the opposite. All I am saying is homosexuals have a higher rate of mental illness. I think especially so within the transgender community. Gender dysphoria was labeled as a mental illness until the early 2000s. And I just don't think these new Western ideologies negate all these basic facts, because why should they? We've grown up for generations with these institutions in place and these societal factors in place which are meant to maintain society and grow society. Why do you think we have so much failing marriages now? What are the marriage percentages within the lesbian community?
Economics.
22% of them succeed in the lesbian community.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
no, that's a thing that they have to look into. Now, I agree with that. But
Right.
here's the thing that
we have a lot we would agree with, and I'm not
Right,
trying to be. I'm not trying to be. People are saying I'm a bigot. I find that extremely disrespectful. I'm trying to be respectful to him. I've respected his views.
So here's what I would say. Here's what I would bring up, right? Because you're saying that what we also need to know is that categories of mental illness and stuff like that, they change all the time as we get new information, right? Because you know what also used to be considered a mental illness? Runaway slaves. That was considered a mental illness.
Right.
So like, so now that we understand what gender dysphoria is now, is not necessarily a mental illness. Well, actually, I think I might be wrong about that. I think it is a mental illness. But the thing is about gender dysphoria is that it's not only trans people who have them, because I've had it. I've had gender dysphoria as well, and that's because I'm a shorter male, and according to our basically our society, men are supposed to be tall, right? But because I'm below 5'7", now I have a dysphoria about myself. You see what I'm saying? Because you know it causes a lot of issues. So it's not just that trans people are a mental illness, because not every trans person has gender dysphoria. You see what I mean?
I understand the premise of your argument, but I don't understand
my opinion. For example, in Europe,
for sure.
in Europe,
For sure.
if you're a bit, so to say, when you said now, gender dysphoria is still a sickness in Europe by most of psychiatrics. In Russia also, for example, if you are a bit shorter, you'll go to spec ops, special units. So I think it's everything in your mind, what you decide you are. And in Europe is a lot simpler. We think we agree and we know what science says. If you're a male, you're a male, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that on a premise level, and I agree with their argument. But to be fair, I think Europe a lot of European nations are failing. I think Europe has gone to shit. I think immigration has ruined a lot of European countries. So
how?
Just 20%. France, England are ruined, and the rest of the.
If you look at, I completely agree with you, Marco. If you look at rape rates and child sexual assault rates in a lot of European nations, they have gone. They have gone up,
great because of TikTok.
I'm sorry, they have gone up drastically due to the mass, over immigration techniques that these countries are proposing. That's why you see places like Poland proposing absolutely zero immigration. They want zero immigrants in because they're scared of these mass waves of rapes and child sexual assaults. And so I think that's reasonable.
Rape is the least.
Say grape, please, because I don't want the loud to get taken down.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm used to this. I'm sorry.
All good. It's because
the least known crime, but
when it comes to,
I was born and raised in Croatia, worked in Germany. Now I work in Switzerland, and the crime that we talked just about is almost unknown in Europe.
Right. I don't know.
The
Definitely
biggest
not.
problem is
Definitely not.
so I live here. I know how Germany also functions now. Switzerland,
Right.
for example, Switzerland is also one of the countries that has almost the same amount of guns per capita as the United States of America, because every single Swiss person needs to do a.
All right, so I did
he's a
some.
construct.
I
No,
did
can
some
I
quick researching.
can I
Hold on,
just say
We
something
have,
first?
we
Wait,
have
hold on,
here, we have
every-
also
hold on, everybody give me a
Swiss
second.
culture in school.
With
I
all
got you.
respect.
Education is a big
I got
part
you.
of,
Everybody give me a second.
Yeah,
Everybody give me
yeah.
a second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when it comes to the entire thing of immigration, right? Number one, I would say this: a few things.
Okay.
Number one, you break it, you buy it, because the West has gone to the Middle East, has gone to Africa, completely screwed them, and are surprised when people are coming over. So
Right,
it's like
right,
if you want people to stay out of your country, stay out of theirs first, right? I would say that, number one.
Right.
But
right.
number two, these issues of, a wave of crime and rape, whenever we actually look deeper into this, from what I can see here, there's been no causal link between it. Yeah, I mean, now it does say that we have to look at awareness and everything like that of rape happening in Europe, but to say that is because of immigration. There's like the studies that went from 2019 to 2024.
Right.
It didn't show any link to it.
So
how do we say it's because of immigration?
Marco, can I just say something real quick, please? Because you said
I think you are just a bit wrong. Rob is right.
Marco,
Because
can I
most
just
of the
say something real
countries
quick, please? Marco, can I say something real
Yeah.
quick, please?
Go ahead.
So you said, because Marco at first said he never hears about the rape cases going up. So in 2013, there were 130,000 reported incidents of sexual assault within all countries in Europe. In 2023, that number has risen up to 250,000 sexual assault and rape victims per year. So clearly that's a 100,000 case increase. And what have we seen within the last 10 years? The mass wave of immigration, and immigration from all countries, no matter how bad, how failing, and how regime dominated these countries are, which have, they've promoted their propaganda on their people, and they've become brainwashed, and they've become dangerous to society. And that's point blank. They're dangerous.
But you have an issue. There's an issue here.
Hold
on. Wait, let me.
Germany for 9 years. So.
Hold on, Marco. Here's an issue.
Right.
When this is studied, though, they showed that the majority of gender-based violence, especially rape, are not by recent arrivals. It's by the women that they know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's been let's say I take it for what you're saying, right? There's been a huge increase of it that could just be the people that they know.
Right.
I mean, because that's what most rape is, not strangers, people that you know. You see what I'm saying? So that would say we need to look at the European men. Why are they raping their women? Because
I absolutely agree.
Most rapes are always people they know.
I absolutely agree with you. So this furthers my argument. So in Sweden, as a specific, 37% of the individuals accused and charged with rape were born in Sweden. They were Sweden-born citizens. 63.1% of all rapists in Sweden were immigrants. So 37% of the population that raped people were citizens, homeborn citizens, while over 60% of them were newly immigrants. So
yeah, you gotta say great, please.
But that's what I mean. So there definitely is direct connections.
So
there.
Sweden has, and of the people are strangers, so to say, but they have Switzerland is a lot picky. You can't illegally immigrate in Switzerland. It's impossible.
Right.
But the 25% of the people that immigrated legally in Switzerland.
Well, Anima, if you just do some
strangers are not native Swiss, and the 25% of the strangers, they count up to around 70% of the crimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. When we talk about this, right? Yeah. This is something that is an issue. Sure. Yeah. I mean, but it's also associated a lot with like things like social economic status and substance abuse and previous criminal history. I don't think it's just they're an immigrant, therefore they're going to be a rapist. That's
so my experience. My experience in Germany, 9 years in Germany. My experience is Germany has one of the best social secure, so to say, securities or programs for everybody, also for as asylum seekers, for refugees, for everybody. They used it and they didn't want to get involved in the society, and they just made their own societies and their own cliques. And this is my personal experience with the Syrians. And this is why Europe has still now a lot of problems. But countries like Poland, Croatia, Hungary, Eastern European countries, they don't have the problem with it, because they said to the immigrants that they got asylum, but they said to them, either you abide the law and the culture and the customs, or we'll deport you, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right,
in Germany, France, Great Britain, and now where I'm in Switzerland, in Germany especially, they didn't abide the law, they didn't abide the customs, and that's why Germany has an increase of the crime for 300% in the last 2 years.
Volsi, I gotta
Josh,
leave for a little bit. I'm gonna join back in a bit, okay?
All right, cool. What's going on, Mikhail?
Hi. I literally just got in a couple hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of errands to run and stuff, so I'm glad I could be here for you. But Volsi, I'm like, by the way, before Bob left, did you see the comment he made? Because I actually want us to. No, it says search of immigrant background, great convictions, National Library of Medicine, PubMed published.
Yeah, that's actually what I was looking at.
I'm curious what it says. I doubt it's what he's claiming. Very much doubt it. And if it is saying, it's probably the citation, not the whole study. That's what I'm thinking. Because that's typically how this goes. They don't know how to read studies. You know that.
Yeah.
Or they pick and choose what parts of the study that they want to use, i.e. the citation.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. So a 21-year study found that individuals with immigrant background have a higher risk of being convicted of rape, which decreases but remains significant after controlling for social economic factors, psychiatric issues, and prior criminality. As overrepresentation is most pronounced amongst foreign-born individuals who immigrated at 15 or older. So essentially, like, if you have an immigrant background, you're more likely to get convicted of rape. Something that happens to black people over here in America. If you're black, you're more likely to be convicted of rape, and you're more likely to be exonerated of it. So it's like, these are things that you kind of have to look at.
I think you're sorry.
No, because I'm curious. Is it because typically when we have these conversations, like race comes into it, because when they mean immigrant, they mean non-white. Like, so I'm curious. I'm like, does this study name the race and the ethnicity of these foreign-born individuals? Because let's say someone like Marco, like for example, Marco, who's, let's say, from Sweden, immigrates to Germany, he would be a foreigner. He would be an immigrant.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
true. That's true. I'm a foreigner.
I'm curious if they're naming the race and the ethnicity of these people with immigrant backgrounds, because that would be an example of a white person with an immigrant background.
In Europe, they know when you're an immigrant or a foreigner just on the language, because almost every single European country has its own language, and they even if you learn the language, you have an accent, and they just know this, but they accept you. In Europe, we are very strict. We are just so to say. I respect America, but you're very capitalist. But in Europe, it's even more. If you pay the tax, if you just do your job, and you contribute to society, you're okay. In Europe, racism is a bit different. It's a very more blunt.
It may be different, but it's still pervasive, and it's still there.
Yeah,
I do know
exists.
that.
It exists, but it's very more blunt than in the States. and even between white people. I'm white. I'm from South Slavic, from ex-Yugoslavia. I lived in Germany and now Switzerland, and they immediately know that I'm from there. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to make a distinction.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to make a distinction between xenophobia and racism, because you're
right.
Because they're not discriminating against you on your race, because you are the same race as these individuals.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. It's my bad. But what I wanted to ask, in Europe is in criminal justice or jails are they are found to integrate you back to society. And as I also have a family in the States, and what I learned that your criminal justice system is not. It's also found on a capitalist. They just want to earn money.
Well,
they don't want to integrate people back in the society.
Exactly. All right. Pause me real quick, guys. Pumpkin, how's it going? Are you at least 18? And what did you want to talk about?
Well, I called into the show when you had the number, and then I got a weird phone call at 2:00 in the morning. Why did you do that, you pumpkin bitch? Why did you call me in the middle of the night, you pumpkin bitch? The night that I called into your number, you called me at 2:00 in the morning.
Jesus Christ. Ain't no one called him to get this guy.
Okay.
Ain't no one called this man.
Wait, I think you dropped the wrong person.
That was only the
other guy too.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I was only trying to drop him. But yeah, I don't know who called him. What the hell is he talking about, bro?
I don't know who called him either. Apparently someone did.
Ain't nobody called this guy.
From, the previous Slavic gentleman. If you want to come up, please come up. Both didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, come back up. I don't know if I dropped you or not.
But I noticed that with a lot of white people.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing that also gets me, right.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed the opposite from white people who are Latino. They will attribute discrimination towards them based off race when it's actually xenophobe. So it's the opposite with them. Like, white Latinos don't experience racism; they experience xenophobia and ethnic prejudice, not racism in particular. Because you're not going to tell me that a blonde hair, blue eye white woman or man who just happens to be Latino is experiencing racism. Like, I just don't agree with that. I do not agree with that.
Yeah, that's really just
that's not racism, big boy. That's not racism. I'm like discriminating against your ethnicity. And based on your national origin has a definition, and it is not racism.
Yeah, it's xenophobia. Yeah, so it's xenophobia. I definitely agree with that. Like white Latinos with blonde hair, blue eyes, and speak with a Puerto Rican or a Cuban accent, they definitely experience xenophobia.
Xenophobia, but I do not believe they experience racism. And even if let's say even if they did, because like historically, like white groups in this country, weren't always considered white, like the Irish and the Italians, like until they that whole
until
thing.
They became white.
They still didn't experience it at the same degree that Black and Indigenous people did in this country. So I just don't want to hear that. I don't. But regardless of that, I don't believe white people who are immigrants experience xenophobia. And I would even argue because they're white, they experience xenophobia at a less harsh extent than Black people and people of color.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's what I would argue.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I would say like very, very, it happens very, very few. Yeah, no, I mean, over in the UK, it's more of a problem where the xenophobia is more of a problem because the Anglo-Saxons for some reason don't like Polish people. It's really weird, but so they.
Oh yeah, I'm like, oh yeah,
yeah.
So but it's still not racism though.
Yeah, it's not
racism.
That
is the point. Because they don't like Western Europeans do not like Northern or Eastern Europeans, but that is not rooted in racism. And I think that a lot of white people get that confused. That is not racism. And I would even argue a lot of people of color and Black people, because despite experiencing it, many people cannot actually define what racism is a lot of the time. And
Yeah.
I'm like, because let's be clear, a lot of black people need critical race theory them damn self, okay? Because clearly,
man.
despite experiencing racism, you can't define what it is.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So everyone who is watching from the Deconstruction Junction, I appreciate you. If you disagree with something I have on the board, go ahead and click that link. Everyone's to ask me at what cost, thinking I'm reading the comments. I'm not reading the comments, y'all. I can't. They're going too fast. I can't see them. All right. So big boy, go ahead and come on up, bro. It's your time to shine. Go ahead and come on up.
So it is not true that, for example, Western Europeans do not discriminate against Eastern Europeans based off their ethnicities and nationalities? Because I know that's not true.
Yeah, they definitely do. All right, collapsicism. I appreciate you for the $2.
Polish people as example. I'm not going to speak to the Polish people example because again, I don't be in white people business like that. I really do not know what be going on over there, but I do know this. I know in this country. And in many different countries, Western Europeans absolutely do discriminate against Eastern Europeans. I do know that because and the reason I know that is because when I was in college, I actually had a friend who was Italian and another friend who was Greek, and they are both white people. But they had told me stories about how American whites, i.e., Western Europeans, discriminated against them.
Yeah, it's crazy. Europeans have
people who are
an advanced form of. Yeah, Europeans have an advanced form of discrimination, bro. Their discrimination is super advanced. They'll discriminate against you if you're from the same country but live in different parts. Like Northern Italians and Southern Italians don't get along at all. Sicilians don't get along with the Italians from the. It's crazy. Like it's.
But Italian and the Italian part, like the North, is. I would argue that that's also rooted in in their own. I would not say the same degree, obviously, as black people, but I would argue that that's a form of colorism between white people.
Yeah, it is. Because the Sicilians are a little more tan, the Southern Italians are a little bit more tan, so it's a lot more colorism, and we know why they're more tan. They used to interact with Africa.
Even then, that's not racism.
It's not racism, and the thing is, we know why they're more tan and their hair is darker because they used to interact with us a lot. You know what I mean? Why you think Italian men love black women?
They're admixed white people. That's the point.
Exactly. I'm like, why you think Sicilians love them some black women? You know what I mean? The Sicilians love black women. You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, oh my God. Every time I'm in New York, when I'm in a specific part of New York, mind you, I have a bunch of Italians that hit on me, and it's so weird. I didn't even realize it at first.
Italians love black women. To me. Italians love black women. They love black women. Now, if I go over there and I get with one of their women, they're gonna have a problem. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
I can't date a Claudia.
Look at that. I'm like, now look at that comment because the first contact with Eastern European people like Romani, Albani is normally no Volsi. You know what the irony is? Because I've heard you bring up the Romani people before when we're talking about the similarities of people who have a similar experience to Black Americans, and I'm like, and he's referring to them as criminal, and I just find that so interesting because. Because what is the stereotype of my ethnicity? Black
criminal.
American.
Criminal, exactly. You know what's so hilarious about Europeans is that they would go crazy on Americans about white American racism and stuff like that. But the moment you bring up Romani people, these folks turn to Hitler, bro. They will turn about the Romani people. Like it's crazy.
Listen, I'm like, they turn into Genesis, honey. Like,
when it comes to them,
I'm like, is that white on white crime, both? Is that white on white crime?
Well, Romanis are actually from the Indian subcontinent. Yeah, I mean, so is like they're more Indian. They live in Europe now, and they still speak an Indian language. You can still understand each other, but it's
they're people of color.
They're people of color.
I don't know a lot about them.
Yeah, Romanis are people of color.
And I find out. Okay, but regardless of the fact, like it's just so interesting to me how they discriminate against other. And it's funny because I did not even know this was a thing until I got on TikTok. Mind you, it was TikTok, and then like the personal experiences I had with like I told you, those friends I had in college. It was a Greek girl and an Italian boy at the time, and they told me that white people i.e., white Americans who are, guess what, their descendants, Western European descendants. They discriminate against them.
Yeah, I met that when I was in when I was in college, right? I met a girl who was Greek, which is kind of crazy because I went to an HBCU, but she was Greek, and she was doing a story on Turkey, and that's when I first found out how Greece and Turkey don't like each other. But I was like, when I see a Greek person and a Turkish person, I can't tell y'all apart. Y'all look almost the same, unless the Greek person is blonde hair, blue eyed. You cannot tell a Greek from a Turkish person. Like, it's really amazing. And
I'm like the ethnic. I'm like, they're spicy mayonnaise.
Oh yeah. That's what I've always said. Yo, I've never understood why like Italians and Greek people don't really like black folks. It's like, yo, y'all basically the niggas of Europe, bro. Because like think about what y'all.
I'm like, oh, they are, and that's why when I had this experience, I got called the N-word. But by a Greek or this Greek / it was a mix of Greek and Italian guy. It was years ago when I went to New York for a party when I was in college. I find it interesting considering that's exactly what you are to Western Europeans. He cussed me out. The way after calling me the N-word with a hard ER, mind you. Because I told him, you would know about being a nigger, don't you, bitch? Considering how other white people treat you, bitch. Exactly. I know they did. I know that.
I'll be saying that. I'll be like, yo, y'all basically the niggas of Europe, bro. Y'all tan.
No. When I tell you they literally are. I love to tell them that they're not white enough when they're being racist towards me. That is like my favorite thing. I would love to dig into that. I love to dig it. Because the thing is, I'll be remind them of their place.
I'll be telling them, I'm like, y'all got dark hair, dark eyes. You're tanner than everybody else. Y'all are matriarchal in the house, but patriarchal publicly. Y'all have the same macho thing, and not only that, your food has flavor. Your food has flavor. Y'all the niggas of Europe, bro. Like, I don't know. I'll be telling Italians and Greeks that. I'm like, y'all the niggas of Europe, bro. Like, I don't know why y'all.
And I love to remind white people who are like, because like I told you, it was the nerve of that. I'm like, it was this white Greek / Italian guy, right? And it's so funny to me. And this is why like it annoys me when people, I'm like, because I was in a space last night. And it's like, oh, I'm like, and when black people who are not Black American, they be like, oh, well, I'm like, whoa, well, white people don't have the diasporas. Yes, the fuck they do on this very app, bitch. Yes, they do. I'm like, listen. I'm like, the way I'm like, what put me onto it is is that whole thing with Italians in New York versus the white Americans in New Jersey with that.
They got hella.
I'm like, also at the same time, them Irish people in Ireland were eating up them white Irish Americans.
Americans.
For weaponizing.
Have you ever seen
against Black Americans?
Have you ever seen the diaspora wars between East Asians and Southeast Asians? Whoo, boy, these motherfuckers do not like each other.
Like, no, that one is salad.
Just to say, Michaela just noticed. Michaela just said, so I'm from Europe, born and raised.
I'm gonna get out of here soon, by the way, Mark. You're the last one.
I also have a family in Jersey, and they're also white, but I freaking love black cuisine, so Southern black cuisine. My next vacation trip will be Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, but just the black municipalities, with black majority. Because I was in your restaurant, I've seen it, I've tasted it, and I've loved it. And my cousin, he married an American, and she's half black. From Florida, from Jacksonville, and she makes the best color greens.
Oh yeah, we make it with love.
I didn't have that in Europe, until she came.
Well, you're not going to have it in Europe because soul food is uniquely a Black American cuisine that's rooted in United States history. You're not going to find it in Europe.
So this will maybe because I'm from Balkans. I'm from we are like mixed culture, a lot of mixed cultures, a lot of mixed religions, and we also have a nickname. We are like Blacks of Europe or Latinos, European Latinos. And because we are also temperament, also like you, and we are also we have a taste in the food. We also give spice to our food, but
I'm like, oh yeah, I love spicy. Food. I'm like, I've always said if I'm gonna eat white people's food, it will always be either like I'm like Italian or Greek people, because I know they season their food. I know they do.
Michaela, trust me, come to Balkans, come to Balkans.
In New York.
Michaela, trust me, come to Balkans and eat Slavic food. We are way
I've never had that.
And way better than Italians and French. But
you know something? You know something? When it comes to like Eastern Europe, I heard the places where Black folks can be okay are places like Slovenia and Montenegro.
I'm from Croatia.
Yeah, Croatia.
I'm like, I've heard really bad things about Italy regarding Black people, honey.
Oh yeah, not Italy.
Sorry, Michaela, for interruption. I'll give you an example.
I was about to say, you better not say Italy.
We were almost, so to say, I don't want to compare it, but it sounds bad. We were almost enslaved, but, and we, trust me, I've met enough Black people from the States. A lot of people play basketball in Europe now, and we have almost the same temperament. We love almost the same spice. We talk almost the same when we speak English. We have a lot of similarities. Although I'm white, you're Black, but I'm from Balkan. Balkan was always, so to say, not important region of the continent,
There we go. Everybody pause. Marco, I'm sorry, Marco. Pause me real quick. All right, big boy. Finally, it is your time to shine. You've been talking a lot in the comments. What did you want to talk about? Number 1 or number 2?
What are you saying, bro?
Yeah, did you want to talk about number 1 or number 2?
Oh, leftist policies. Oh, they're crazy policies.
Leftist policies are better for America. Okay, so I'm not sure if you were here, but let me talk about the leftist policies I'm talking about. The leftist policies I'm talking about is things like universal health care, investment into infrastructure and walkable cities, investment into nuclear power in order for us to have better energy infrastructure, parental and maternal leave, guaranteed housing, universal education. Those things I think are best for society. Now, in America, those are considered leftists, but everywhere else it's just normal. You know what I mean? Like Marco's, Marco is basically normal over there, but over here is leftist. So that's why.
That all sounded normal to me as well, brother. I believe everybody should be housed, of course, man.
All right, great. So you agree with me?
Up to now, yeah, that seems fine.
All right, so what leftist?
So I do think he wants to talk about on some of the things we were talking about previously regarding some of the immigration issues. I guess in Europe, again, I don't speak to that because I ain't over there, and I'm also don't come from an immigrant background. I feel like that's more personal to you, Volsey, than it is to me because my family has been here. I don't come from an immigrant background.
So is that what you want to talk about on Big Boy? Like do you think leftist policies are about immigration?
No,
I have one question. I have one question. Just one question.
And I just commented. You know what I mean?
Second,
obviously, there is an immigrant problem, but I've got no problem with immigrants, man. Everybody's
when you say
nice, man.
Got you. When you say there's an immigrant problem, what does that mean?
Come on, man. There's one in America too. When have you ever seen people coming over the border so vast and so many at one time? I've got no problem with people coming over the border, but the way it's being done now, that's not immigration.
The way it's being done now,
a lot of that is propaganda that you're hearing about.
So big boy, a lot like Michaela said, a lot of that's propaganda. That's number 1. But number 2, the way that immigration is being handled in America is basically sending out a Gestapo to abuse people. if you want to handle immigration better, what should happen is that we should go ahead and work with our partners in South America, try to invest in their economies so people won't immigrate as much, because a lot of them are economic migrants. We can also see what people are immigrating for, see if they will be good for a benefit for our society, in which we have seen that they are, because they do pay taxes, they do go ahead and contribute to the economy, most of them, right? So this is what happens. And not only that, diversity means more innovation, because if you have a diversity of thought, you have other ways of thinking, right? So it means more innovation for your country. So all that can be a good thing. Now, I agree with you, the way that immigration is being handled in America is not good, right? Because it takes too long to immigrate. And not only that, they basically enslave these people. When they immigrate, they put them in low wage, low skill jobs on farms and treat them like absolute crap without any benefits. So that needs to change. Right. But this entire mindset of, the immigrants are just hopping borders and, raping women and stuff like that, raping women and pillaging villages. That's just a propaganda, and from colonist times. It's stupid.
Can I agree with you? And I'll give you an example of the right and left policy so just a second. In Switzerland, they allow anybody to come. If, for example, I'm a welder, I work for an American company in Switzerland for General Dynamics, and if they need a welder, if you contribute to society, they'll let you in any single time, but you get every single so you pay for it, for healthcare. There is no free healthcare in Europe, so to say. You pay for your gross paycheck, but you get everything. Switzerland is, so to say.
So Marco, hold on, Marco.
They're a bit big.
Marco, pause real quick. Pause real quick. All right. So, Michaela, what you was gonna say?
I was gonna say this. Like, the only issue I really have is with, in particular, is with non-white people. And it's not just the black ones. It is also POC, because I've seen this with a lot of Asians. I see this with a lot of non-white Latinos. I see this with a lot of different groups. My issue is when you come here and you're benefiting, because let's be clear, the reason that people who are not white are able to immigrate here is absolutely because of the blood and sacrifices that Black Americans have made. So my issue, the only issue I have is when people immigrate here and then they shit on Black Americans and don't learn Black American history and don't consider, all of those different things. But but as long as you're respecting Black Americans, and you come over here, I guess legally or whatever the case is, eat your food, and I don't really have an issue as long as you're not sitting on Black Americans.
Right. So hold on, Marco.
Michaela's argument there is, for example, I have also a family that came to
Marco.
You need to, for example, there is a black.
Marco, hold on, Marco. Marco, hold on, Marco, because I want Big Boy to respond. All right. So, Big Boy, do you? I know that was a lot, but what did you have to say?
I agree with most of what you said. I agree with I presume what's the other guy called? Not Marco, the other
Michaela?
Michaela. I presume they're black.
Yes.
Also, yeah. Which there's not a problem with them being black. But if they're going to America, they should respect everybody, not just Black history. All of America, man. These are all one gang.
Yes, but that is a specific
together, man, whether you're black or whatever.
Right. So Big Boy, right? Like that's I think you kind of missed her point. It's not that only respect Black Americans. What she's saying is that Black Americans do have a history here, a unique history here, and it was because of their sacrifice that people who are not. Yeah, it was because of their fighting and their sacrifice that people who are not white were able to immigrate into America, because the Chinese Exclusion Act and everything like that. When Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement said that, hey, these immigration policies are also racist, go ahead and let people from around the world in, not just white people. That's when that happened, right? So Black Americans fought for that. And what we see a lot of times is we see people from Asia, from South America, and from Africa and the Caribbean, sadly, come over here and they denigrate Black American history, denigrate Black American people. most of it is due and Black American culture. Most of it is due to propaganda that was sent to these places, but still, when you get over here, you should learn. You know what I mean? My parents came over here also with the propaganda in their mind, but luckily my father was able to ascertain, like, I see what's going on here, and he raised me better than that. But unfortunately, I do know people when they come over from Haiti. I've seen them say certain things, and I had to teach them better. You know what I'm saying? I had to show them, Vanguard of the Revolution on Netflix by the Black Panthers. I had to show them Martin Luther King Boulevard. I had to show them that there's a street in Haiti named after Martin Luther King. So of course, there's a thing here, right? So a lot of them get propaganda and they don't know any better, but they should learn better and respect the people who help bring them here and stop denigrating them and their culture. Does that make sense, big boy? Hold on, Marco. Let me make sure.
I agree with that, actually. I actually agree with that, of course.
Okay, cool. So you agree?
Can I ask
Go ahead,
you
Marco.
a curiosity question? Because you, as a Black American, African American in the United States, we get in Europe a lot through the media that you are disadvantaged, you are humiliated, you are. We get a lot of bad news about African Americans in Europe through media, and I just really want to ask:
That is true.
Is it real, or is it?
No,
or
it's
how do you feel
real.
as a African American in the United States? Because in Europe it's totally different. For example, in when you're a Black person in France, you're immediately defined. You're French. You are not. In Europe is a lot different. I know. I'm a person. I live there. Also, I lived in Germany.
I've heard from Black French people. I've heard from Black French people, bro.
So I'm not like, this is just my opinion. I
got you, Marco. I got you. I understand.
I wasn't in their skin.
But Marco, I will say this.
In Europe, it's a lot easier or a lot. It's not like I just wanted to ask. How do you feel? How is it really like that? As they say,
I got you, Marco. Marco, hold on. I got you. Go ahead, Michaela.
Now, for clarification, Marco, Volsi is Haitian American, not African American or Black American.
Sorry.
Is an ethnicity. I am Black American. That's African American, and I would say it is. It is not untrue that Black people specifically are discriminated against and have been discriminated against. For example, in healthcare here, Black women are more likely to die from maternal health deaths because of systemic racism, because of how healthcare has. There's issues with the prison system. There's Black people are often discriminated against here because of the texture of our hair. Even a lot of us are sent home, and even cannot find jobs unless we straighten our hair or do things to appease European standards. And because of that, there are only a few states where this thing called the Crown Act is not passed, and it's literally to prevent discrimination against Black people, and specifically, especially Black women and children, for our natural hair textures and our in our protective cultural hairstyles. There's many different things that are happening, but that's a few examples. Yes, African Americans are discriminated against here in the United States, and as an African American woman, I have experienced it firsthand. So
yeah,
I'm very sad to hear it.
Yeah, when it comes to immigrant porn people like myself, we just kind of get thrown into that because they just can't tell the difference. You know what I mean? The only way that they can tell the difference is if you have an accent. And when you do have an accent, what I've seen is two reactions. Number one, it gets worse. Or number two, they think that you're different from them. And then they do the dividing thing. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen that happen before.
I think you said there were studies that show that they will basically put Black people from different ethnicities in particular positions just so they don't have to put Black Americans there. And I do believe that is true. I have felt that. So
yeah, there has been some research where it shows having if you're a black person that has like either a Hispanic or an African last name, you're probably going to be a little bit more advantaged. Now they're going to say it's because you're bilingual or multicultural or some bullshit like that, but it's really just them discriminating against Black Americans. That's really all it's about. Marco, can you give me a second?
Just when they see your name with, for example, Latin last name or something, you'll be less discriminated when you have another.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where you are, in Florida, having a Latino last name is a huge advantage. Yeah, I mean, because it's Florida. But in Texas, that's changing a little bit as well. But if you're in like Arkansas or Nebraska, then it's gonna be a little bit more of a there. You see what I'm saying?
Because let's be clear. Because let's be clear, they know African Americans very well. Like, let's be clear, because the thing about the people do not consider is Black Americans are not immigrants. So white people have been here alongside Black people for the most part since the 1600s, right? Like when it was the 13 British colonies. Black people and white people have been alongside literally since before even the inception of this country, and as long as it has been a country, Black people and white people have existed by side. I will not say peacefully, definitely not peacefully by side, but definitely have existed by side. So they know Black Americans.
Yeah, exactly. So if they see Tamika Jackson, they know that's going to be a Black American person.
That woman is African American. That is a common African American.
Exactly.
It's
a common African American name.
You know she's not Caribbean.
Exactly. But if they see a name like Chantel Francois, then there's gonna be a little different, because even though Chantel can be a common Black name, Francois sounds different. So they know that name Francois from somewhere else. Like one of my friends, right? His son's name is King. King is a common name for African Americans, but his last name is also Saint Pierre. So King Saint Pierre, they're like, okay, this is a Black person, but Saint Pierre, he's from somewhere else. So that's why they're able to differentiate.
Which is also why a lot of Black American mothers, what they will do is there's a lot of stereotypical Black American names, for both men and women. So a lot of times Black American mothers, especially when I was growing up, when I was born in the late 90s, I grew up in the 2000s. A lot of Black American mothers would give their Black American children more white American sounding names. So so when they got older and would be going to apply for jobs and to apply for colleges and stuff,
they wouldn't be discriminated against.
They would have it easy. They wouldn't be as discriminated against, because for example, and it's because of anti-Blackness. Because for example, Keisha is not an uncommon Black American name, but because of anti-Blackness and racism, that name has a negative connotation related to Black American women.
Can I give you?
So they may name her Brittany.
Yeah, I wouldn't say racist though. I wouldn't say it's racist.
No, it's racist. It's racist.
So I work in mostly. So I'm a stranger in the country. I work for an American company, and all of the Swiss people, they know that I'm a stranger. I'm white, but I'm a stranger. They know that. There is a difference, but now I've learned something new. What you just told me, and a lot of people make fun of Black people because of the names. But I think this is my opinion. I think this is the birth of a culture, the birth of a names. This is the, so to say, you are making your own culture, your own names, your own identity. And every single civilization, country.
Exactly what it was. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That's how it started off, where the people who were freed enslaved people, they would come up with these names like Lamarcus or something like that. And and that would differentiate themselves as a sign of freedom from because they couldn't change their last name.
Yeah, from their enslavers. So a lot of Black American last names, because a lot of us have former enslaved. hold on. A lot of us have our former slavers' last names, but some of those names were actually made up post-emancipation. Also take into consideration that on the slave plantations historically in America, they would give their children more like different sounding last names that would stand out. And so so let's say if their children, because this is exactly what would happen, Black women's children would be sold off to different plantations, like they were a piece of furniture. They were because Black people in America were considered property, and so they would give these children different last names in order. So so if they were to escape, right, they would be easy. They would have an easier time finding their children on different plantations, so they can take their children to freedom.
Why I understand you really, and I learned. Thank you both of you, Michaela and the host. I learned really a lot tonight. My family is also from Balkans. We were also white people were also enslaved because slavery is in the nature of a humankind.
All right, y'all. I gotta go ahead and get out of here. But I just wanted
to say thank you both. I learned a lot.
No problem.
Can you I just have one more question. Can you give me best recipe or tip for from Southern cuisine? Because I want to make it myself.
He can't do that because he's not Black American.
I'm not. Yeah, but Michaela can. But I can give you one from Haitian cuisine. I can give you the cuisine for Ippies. Ippies is Michaela, if you come down here for the Bash Cookout, I'm gonna have some Ippies with me. So definitely check it out because
I've never had. It's funny because I've never had Haitian food. I've had Jamaican food from the restaurant, but even then, I'm like, I never think it's like authentic Caribbean food, regardless, because it's from a restaurant. And I'm like, and I know like a lot of people are more American.
How do you write it?
EPIS. It's a spice that you put to pre-cook the meat. Yeah. So, but it's really good. Mix it up with
Michaela,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Michaela.
Michaela, can you give me your favorite from the Southern comfort cuisine?
It's not. First of all, I want to say it's not Southern comfort. It's soul food. It's too. I mean,
this is stereotype also. Sorry.
Food. I'm like because don't get into it. A lot of white people in America, they like to try to claim soul food as Southern food. It's not Southern food. It is Black American food. The reason why it is rooted in the South because that's where our ancestors were enslaved, and so we have Black Americans have Southern roots, but many of us are in the North, and our family still eat soul food. So that
sorry for my ignorance.
Okay, so I just want to. No, that's fine. I just want to clear that up. And even if you see white people who eat certain things that are like that happen to be in Black American food, it's because their ancestors got it from a slave. At some point they did.
Can you please give me your best recipe? I'll try to replicate it.
There's so many things. We got fried chicken. There's a sweet potato pie. That reminds me.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Sweet pie is so good. Oh my God.
I don't like pecan pie as much, but I can cook it.
Pecan pie.
How about you try chicken and waffles.
Oh my God, so good.
Chicken waffle. Just
chicken and waffle, so good. So good.
But just fried chicken and waffles.
I'm like, yes, but you put it on, but you have to fry the chicken. Look it up online. Look up a Black American chicken and waffles recipe on YouTube. You should be able to find it there.
Most of the time, the simplest stuff are the best stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, chicken and waffles.
Chicken waffle, black chicken and waffle.
Yeah, chicken and waffles is really good. All right, guys, I do gotta get out of here. I've been on for about an hour. 30 minutes.
It's the way I saw your mouth water the moment I mentioned chicken and waffles.
Thank you both. Thank you both for everything.
No problem, Marco. I appreciate it.
How many Black American houses have you been to know what chicken? You went to an HBCU. Now that I think about it, you probably ate chicken and waffles there.
Yeah.
You ate chicken and waffles at the HBCU.
Yeah, not only that, like when I was in high school, a little bit after high school, a lot of friends I made were African Americans. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I'll go over to their house, or they'll tell me, what's the good soul food restaurant to go to, and I'll go. The Licking down here in Florida is probably the biggest chain soul food restaurant, but it got better.
It's funny because I've never been to a soul food restaurant because my family is Black American. So why would I be going to a restaurant to cook my own cultural food? I'm like, it just never made sense to me. I know African Americans that go, but I'm like, and maybe I should go to patronize like Black businesses. Like I could see doing it for that purpose, but like I've never needed to cook, so I could either cook it or I could go to my grandma's house.
Yeah, exactly.
to get soul food.
To get some, exactly. So, but yeah, since I didn't grow up with it.
When I eat out,
you go somewhere else.
Grow up with it because you're not Black American. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm like, now here's the thing. Like, I'm like, a lot of people that make soul food that claim to be soul food restaurants from I have come across are not actually soul food restaurants, because why do you have Jamaicans making soul food? Like, I'm not eating. I'm just not. I'm not eating like Asian. So I'm like soul food, soul food. Like, ew. Yeah. Like, I just have a thing where if I'm going to eat like ethnic food, I'm going to go to those ethnicities. Like, if I want Jamaican food, I want the chicken to jerk. Literally, I want to see it jerking, and I'm like in the pot. Like, I'm like, if I don't hear a crying Chinese baby, the Chinese food is not good. I don't want white Chinese food.
Yeah, it's like, hey, listen, when you go to a Haitian restaurant, this is how you know the food's gonna be good. There's gonna be a light skinned old woman who comes with a bonnet on her head. She gonna look at you and say yes. She gonna look at you, point and say yes. That's how you know the food's gonna be busted. That's how you know. It's so hilarious. It's gonna be a light skin with a Haitian with a bonnet on her head. She'll come to you and say yes, and that's how you know.
I'm like, I've never. You know what's so funny? Now that I think about it, I don't even think I've ever seen a light skinned Haitian.
You haven't? There's plenty of them down here. There's plenty of them out here. Like,
but to be fair, like, I don't know. I've never grew up because keep in mind, I didn't grow up around Caribbeans or African children. I'm like, I grew up with some Latino children, but they were not Black, right? Okay. So so keep in mind, I literally did not grow up around Black people of the diaspora. It wasn't until much years later that I was around Black people from different ethnicities. I did not grow up around them. All the Black people around me were Black American. All of them were.
Yeah. Growing up in Florida, like the most people I grew up around with Haitian and African American. When I moved up here to Central Florida, that's when I started meeting more Jamaican folks, more Guyanese folks. You know what I mean? Now my cousin's from New York. He said that's all he grew up around. Like, he said in Brooklyn, one house was Haitian, and the next house was Guyanese, the next house was Trini, the next house was Jamaican, the next house was African American, the next house was Dominican, and then there was, and the Black Dominicans who know they Black. The next house was Puerto Rican. It was all of that. So they grew up with an eclectic of people, and that's why I said I've always wanted to grow up with that, because I've only ever grew up with the two. I always want to grow up with more of them. But yeah, Michaela, I'm gonna get out of here, man, because I gotta go. It's been on for an hour and a half, but I appreciate you, and we definitely gonna talk more later. All right. Appreciate you so much. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. We didn't get as much guests tonight, but that's okay. Come by tomorrow. We're gonna go ahead and probably run this topic again. Sometime by the end of this month, I should have the ability to take in guests from the StreamYard. And once that happens, we're gonna be on and popping, y'all. I'm gonna really appreciate that. Y'all, I appreciate y'all. I am gonna go ahead and get out of here. Y'all's have a good night. And as always, every man should be soft, be secure, be affectionate, be wise, be flexible, be